Welcome to It Has a Certain Sound. This is episode 10. Pretty sweet. Today we're going to be talking about Radiohead in Rainbows. Yeah. Super great record. Before you guys do anything else, before you even start breathing again, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this. Appreciate it. It helps the channel grow, and yeah, it makes it a little bit more fun to do this when I see that people are engaging with it. I appreciate it, and it lets me know that people find it interesting, and that's cool. So I really like this record. This record is very, like, I haven't listened to all of Radiohead stuff. I grew up during the Guitar Hero era, and I remember, I think it was on Rock Band, there was a song Creep, and that was kind of my introduction to Radiohead. And to be honest, because of that song, I always kind of felt like they were, like, I always thought that they were kind of a pop band, or like not a pop band, but like they made like more pop rock music type of thing, more like that, like very structured songwritery song that was kind of like very of the era. And I didn't give them enough credit. I didn't listen to other stuff. I heard about OK Computer, OK Computer especially, because I heard a lot of people talk about that, and I think too that, like, I've listened to that record now, and it's very textural, very atmospheric, and it's really interesting. I like it a lot, but it feels very much like it's in that vein. It's like they went down this certain path, and they tried to see what they could do with it going down that path. With that being said, I haven't listened to the other more electronic stuff that they've done, because I know that, I think it's like Kid A is supposed to be more electronic, and I haven't listened to it, so I can't really give an opinion on it. But based off of this record in Rainbows, I think it's really interesting, and I can kind of hear how, like, this record to me sounded a lot like a lot of ideas and a lot of influences being brought together to create something very unique. And it's not just, this record is not just one feeling that you go through. This is a really interesting mix of emotions, and it's strange to me because it almost feels like, I had the thought of it while I was listening to it, that it almost kind of sounds like it's kind of like a post-rock thing, in the sense that it's like we're taking all of these different these different kind of like ideas from genres, and we're putting all of them together in this like band setting, and I've talked about like, I think Tortoise is a really interesting band. My buddy Ralph put me on Tortoise, the record TNT specifically. I love that record, and when I listen to that record, it feels electronic, and especially with the rhythms, with the beats, and it's very jazzy in the notes that they're playing, and the way that it's almost like, it's a lot of that record is very modal, like modal jazz, which is kind of like a lot of the spiritual jazz and stuff tends to be very modal. Kind of Blue by Miles Davis, that's a very modal jazz record. That's kind of like, it's credited as being one of the first ones to start that kind of like modal sound. I think the most modal thing that Miles Davis did was In a Silent Way, where it's just kind of like everybody's playing on one chord, and it just feels a certain way, and the textures hit a certain way, and it's very atmospheric. This record, it starts off, and you get this feeling that it's gonna almost be like an electronic record. It sounds very almost like bitty, It's like square and crunchy and like a little bit distorted. It kind of reminded me of there's a Sweet Trip record called like Velocity Design Comfort, and that record is very like 8-bitty, very crunchy, and very like electronic sounds. And this record, it kind of started off like that, and it's really interesting because it's like you have this kind of like these drums that come in, and they start a certain way. The song starts a certain way, and then as it progresses, as the singing comes in, and it starts to change, and it becomes very almost like floaty, You know, like it's really, really interesting, and that's kind of the way that I would describe a lot of this record. Is it's either very floaty or it's very moody. And I felt too like the first 3 songs, which are 15 Step, Body Snatchers, and Nude, to me they felt very much like they captured the essence of the record very well in those 3 songs. And it's not to say that the whole record sounds like those 3 songs. That's not what I'm saying. But the first song, it hits you with a little bit more of the electronic thing, and then it's very like it's very rhythm oriented, but then the instruments are just kind of like floating and like very spacious in the song. And then so are the vocals kind of soar and they go in and out, and there's a lot of dynamics with all of it. The whole record, it's a lot of dynamics. Shout out to the mixing engineer on this, because this record sounds really, really good. At least the copy that I have sounds really, really good. And yeah, that first song is really interesting, and then the second song comes in and it's a lot heavier. It's a lot heavier, and it's very distorted. Body Snatchers is a very heavy song. It drives really, really hard. And to be honest, with that song, I had this thought come into my head that Tom York sounds a lot like Jeff Buckley in the tone of his voice, the way that he kind of comes in and out of it, and it's very, very dynamic, and you can feel it flowing. And to me, it really felt like his vocals are soaring in and out of the music. That's what it felt a lot like to me. And the sounds on it are incredible, you know, just like the sounds of it. And I think that a lot of the drums on this record feel very electronic, almost as if it's like a drum machine almost, because of how tight it is. And the drums don't swing so much on this song. Everything else with the dynamics feels more like it's doing that. It's going up and down, and the drums feel like almost like a machine, and they almost feel a little bit stiff. They're incredible. They're beautiful, beautiful drums, and I think that the drums really, really, really make this record, because I mean everything is everything on this record. Everything comes together to create this picture, and I think that the picture that gets drawn in this record is Radiohead. I think that this is almost like to me it feels, and like I said, I haven't listened to a lot of Radiohead, but I can hear in this record so many influences, so many ideas, and all of them are being used to create something that feels very, very unique, but it still has the essence of the stuff that came before it. So in that sense, I feel like it is a very, very Radiohead record, and it moves around so much in the way that the songs are. You have these very floaty, dreamy songs, and then you have songs that are kind of on the cusp of being more heavy because of the drums a lot of the times, and then the music tends to be more floaty. And then you have something like with Body Snatchers, it's a heavier song, but then he doesn't sound angry. Tom York doesn't sound angry while he's singing it. So it sounds like it's heavy, and I don't almost like it's angry, like there's an aggressiveness to it. But the vocals aren't aggressive, and it really winds the entire thing down, and it makes it sit in this still floaty space. And the whole thing to me is, I feel like the right word is to describe it as floaty. And like I said before, it goes between floaty and moody. And I know that maybe that sounds strange, but they're different. You know, floaty is almost like swaying back and forth, moving around, and a little bit more comfortable. I think too that just like Tom York's vocals, they come through almost a little bit whiny sometimes. And it's not a bad thing. I think it's really interesting because it's so dreamy the way that he sings, that it's like it gives it a little bit of an edge when it comes in whiny. It's like it just pushes it a little bit more and gives it more of an attitude, and I find it really, really interesting. And when it goes to the more moody stuff, it's more upfront, more in your face, and it feels, but it's not so in your face that you feel like you're being bombarded by this thing, and that's kind of what makes it more moody. It doesn't feel like he's attacking anything, but it definitely feels like there's more stronger emotions. And there's a couple songs on this record that feel more like that. Like I said, Body Snatchers is the one that comes to mind the most. It's the kind of, I think, the heaviest one, and it feels almost like a psych rock feel to it, but with this heaviness. And then there's these sounds that there's so the sounds, the textures of the sounds are so rich that it feels like it's like electronic, like there's all this stuff on it. And it's really interesting. And then you have a song like Nude, and it's got like orchestral elements to it, and that one is a very much floaty feeling song, and the drums are a lot more sparse on it. In fact, it might not even have any drums on it. I don't remember off the top of my head right now. But it's very floaty and very like ethereal. It's very beautiful. And with that ethereal feeling, like that to me kind of also feels like that sparsity feels almost more like ambient and not so much electronic. I wanted to say electronic first, but it's not so much electronic. It's more ambient that it feels, and it's incredible. And yeah, like this is I think like one of my favorite like rock band records. Even though, like I said, it feels more post-rocky. I'm sure that people would describe the genre that they sit in as like more avant-garde rock or like art rock or whatever. But I don't think that that's the best way to describe it, because like I said, all these elements, all these aspects, all these genres come together to create something very, very unique, and it feels like they're grabbing at these things that they really love and enjoy. And yeah, like Weird Fishes is, I think, probably my favorite floaty song, because it almost feels like it's strange. It feels almost like if you're in the water, but it's a dream, and because it's a dream, you can talk and you can breathe, and it's like as if you were breathing and talking, existing in air, but you're underwater, and it's like you're feeling the water against your skin, but it's not affecting the way that you talk, the way that you speak. It's not like blah, 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 blah. It's very dreamy, Yeah, this is a record that I don't think you can really put it in a bubble. There's a lot of story behind it too. It was supposed to be like one of the first like big music acts to release record on like a pay what you want sort of idea. And I think that's really interesting for this record, because I saw that there was also a lot of criticism behind it. But this was during a time where a lot of music was being pirated, and I know that I felt like there was a certain point, especially like for me, it was like 2013, 2014. I felt like it was really strange, and I didn't know where music was going to go, because all this stuff was just being downloaded. Like you could download whatever you wanted whenever you wanted, and you didn't really have to pay for anything. And I remember feeling that way, like, musicians can't make a living anymore because of this, because it's like now you can't sell records. All you can really do is play shows. And so this was criticized so much during the time that it was released in 2007 by all these different people. Like I saw it was like Trent Reznor, and there were a few other names, and I don't remember what the names were right now. But people were criticizing it, saying that this was going to be really, really bad for smaller musicians. And now when you look at the system of music that we have, where everything, most art that we consume that's either audio or visual, you can kind of just stream it wherever, and now that's been more monetized. And so to me, it's really, really interesting seeing that these guys tried something different. They tried basically almost to go and see what the future would consist of by creating the future in the present, and then see what that would do. And they got this criticism for it, and it ended up kind of evolving into the system that we have now, where it's almost like it's a lot of artists, especially now, especially after the pandemic, like they were kind of relying on donations, and donations even from like streaming themselves, like just streaming themselves from at home and on free platforms, a lot of them. And that is essentially the that pay what you want system that they tried to do, it's like that happened during that time, and it kept a lot of musicians afloat. So it's really, really interesting. It makes me feel like they were very ahead of their time to do that and just kind of experiment with it and just see what would happen. And I thought that was really cool. That was kind of a special thing for me, thinking about that and seeing them try that. And also this music, the way that it comes through, it's like it feels very experimental too. So it kind of, to me, gives an idea of the headspace that they were in at the time. I read too that they tried to record a record and it didn't fall through. They had one producer, and then they switched back to the other producer that they were more familiar with. Goodrich, I think, Goldrich, something like that. And so this record, to me, the way that I read it, it sounded like a lot of trial and error, a lot of experimentation, which, like I said, that's interesting. I think it makes interesting music, and I think that this is a special record, and I mean, if you guys have been with me for a little bit for the last few episodes, you know that I like to cover music that I feel is special, that is interesting, and kind of holds a certain space and does a certain thing, and it's very specific. So yeah, this record, I give it 2 thumbs up. I think it's great from beginning to end, and it's something that you should experience for yourself, and you could really, like, this record is made like an experience. It's made, I feel like the way that it flows through, it's made for you to just be able to sit down with it and listen to it from beginning to end, and it's definitely worth it. On the insert here, it says it was produced and mixed by Nigel Godrich. Yeah, I wanted to bring that up too, because the mix on this record is great. It's incredible. Check it, guys. This is the record in rainbows. Beautiful cover. I read too that the artist that drew this, he went through a bunch of iterations, and he drew it while they were recording the record. So it comes through with the art of that. Beautiful. I'll check you guys out on the next episode. And you'll check me out, and we'll check each other out. Like, comment, subscribe. Feel free to talk about other Radiohead records in the comments, and let me know what you think on the Smokey Robinson record that I covered a couple records ago. People were giving me suggestions for other Todd Rundgren records, and I listened to today the record Todd that came out in 1974. So that one came out pretty close to after the A Wizard, a True Star. And I liked it. It was interesting. It was, the person said that, and I'm sorry, I don't remember your name. Man, I'll start writing this stuff down, and I'll make sure that I give you guys shout outs when it's stuff like this, and cause this is really fun for me. This is exciting to have this engagement with you guys, this communication. They told me to listen to Todd, and I listened to it today. Great record. Very, very cool record. Very interesting. There were a lot of different ideas. It was electronic too. And the songs and the way that they flowed was really interesting. I haven't listened to the full thing. I need to sit down with it more. But thank you for that suggestion. You know who you are. I'll shout you out in the next episode. I'll make sure that I write it down, and I'll give you a proper shout out. Thank you. And thank you guys. Have a good day, night, whatever. Right now it's looks like it's about 8:20 or something, 8:30 outside. Beautiful Miami night. Little humid. It's nice. I like it. Feels like you're in the womb, Beautiful feeling. Beautiful, beautiful feeling. All right, y'all. Take care. Catch you on the next one. What?